Hi, I'm Janine, and this video is about social anxiety. You might be watching because you have a diagnosis of social phobia, or you might have just recognised some traits of social anxiety in yourself and be wanting to make some changes. So congratulations for being here, and I hope I can provide you with some tips and techniques to move through this difficult time. So first of all, I just want to acknowledge that anxiety is actually a normal feeling, and it is there in our bodies to help us to deal with dangerous situations. It's actually meant to be there. So it becomes problematic when we start to experience anxiety for situations that are not dangerous, and that's where a social anxiety may come into play. So yeah, let's move forward and build your toolbox. So first of all, I want to just let you know that it's really important to observe what your anxiety looks like. It can be different for every person. So just to recognise what your body experiences when you're feeling anxious. Could be that you sweat a lot, or you talk really quickly, or your heart might race, things like that. So to observe how you react to your anxiety is really important in the first place. Secondly, it's good to learn how to relax. So if you can learn how to relax before you get into an anxiety promoting situation, that's great, but that's not always possible. So if you can concentrate on learning how to calm your breathing down when you're feeling anxious, it's helpful to be able to slow everything down, your breathing, which also then slows your brain processes down, and it might help you to be able to deal with the anxiety a little bit better. So that's something that you could potentially practice before you get into that situation. It's really, really important to evaluate your thinking and to start doing some realistic thinking instead of perhaps you normally go down the negative thinking path. So to evaluate your thinking, your negative thinking based on facts is really important. So for example, if you find that your social anxiety relates to maybe going out to parties, then let's have a think about that. So your negative thinking might be related to, what if I say something stupid and everyone laughs at me? So if you evaluate that fear based on your facts as opposed to based on your emotional thinking, that's what we're talking about here. So let's look at that. So what is the likelihood of you saying something stupid and everyone laughing at you? Probably fairly small. Have you been to parties before where you haven't done that and been placed in that situation? Yes, I have. Great. So have you been in situations at parties where you have said something stupid and people have laughed at you? Yeah, it's happened a couple of times. Okay, let's look at that. Did people remember it 3 years down the track? Highly unlikely. Did it affect your future? No. So can you see how thinking about your negative thoughts in a different way, in a realistic and a logical way, can help you to perhaps just change the way you think about your fear and that fearful situation. And it's also important to think about your belief systems of yourself. So not everyone's perfect, and it's okay to be imperfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And it's okay for everyone not to like you. So not everyone is going to like everyone in the world. So it's important to, not be hung up on those things, I guess. So once we've been able to recognise those negative thoughts, and sometimes it can help to write those things down. Think about what you normally think about negatively, and then write down the positive things about that, or the likelihood of those things happening, and what the impact is of the worst case scenario coming true. If I say something stupid at that party and everyone laughs at me, it's not going to impact my future. So I can take a deep breath and I can relax. I can perhaps go outside and get some fresh air, then go back into the party and rejoin and have regrouped myself to the point where I can move on past that conversation. So the fourth step that I want to bring you to is about facing your fears. So sometimes it can be helpful to write a list of the different things that you're fearful of, from least scary right up to most scary. So for example, the least scary thing that you might be afraid of is making eye contact with someone when you're down the street, smiling and saying hello. That could be a fearful situation, but not as bad as perhaps doing a presentation in front of 100 people. That would be much more a much more fearful situation than that initial eye contact with someone. So if you write a list, it's called a hierarchy of fears. If you write a list of the different things that you are fearful of in relation to your social anxiety, then you can start working through those things. And facing your fears is a scary part of this process, but it's an essential part to be able to move forward. So if you start with the least scary thing, which is, as I said, whatever it is for you, but it could be having that eye contact and saying hello to someone in the street. So start doing that and practice it every time you're out. Just practice it. Keep going, and then you'll feel less scared next time you come into that situation. And then once you've managed with that situation, go on to the next one. Say hello to a co-worker when you get to work. Once you've passed that step, go on to the next one, which may be striking up a conversation with someone at lunchtime in the office. And so you can see how each time you go through a level, you feel more able to get to the next level, until before you know it, you're able to, walk into a cafe and say hello to someone that you see sitting there. So you'd be able to get past that fear. Part of facing your fears is to avoid what we call safety behaviours. And safety behaviours are avoidance strategies to make you feel safe. So in the first instance, you might feel like it's useful to employ safety behaviours because they mean that you don't feel as anxious as you would otherwise. So for example, if you're afraid of walking into a cafe and speaking with people, you might walk into a cafe, avoid all eye contact, not speak to people, and look at your phone the whole time that you're there. And so that's what we call the safety behaviour, because you're avoiding the eye contact, which causes you anxiety, and you're avoiding speaking to people because people aren't going to speak to you when you're clearly engrossed in your phone. The problem with employing those safety behaviours is that it means that you can't then face your fears of the eye contact and the communication that you would otherwise have in that social situation. And so then it's going to be much more difficult and much slower progress to work your way through that hierarchy of fears if you've employed those safety behaviours. So being aware of them, perhaps writing them down, the different things that you normally use to avoid the anxiety, staying on your phone. If you're worried about saying something stupid at a party, you just might not speak at all. That's your safety behaviour. So writing them down and then trying to avoid them as you go through that hierarchy of fears, as you're facing those fears, because it's hard, but it means that you're more able to work through those fears. And as I said, some of those things are really scary. The facing your fears is a scary thing to do, and you might need some help with that. Maybe a family friend or a family member or a close friend, or if that all else fails, you can seek professional help for that as well. So those are the things that have been proven to work for a lot of people in terms of social phobias. Don't hesitate to reach out for professional help if you feel like you need it. There's nothing wrong with that, absolutely. It's a brave thing to do. So good luck, be brave, practice. These things are not going to change overnight, but you'll find with more practice you'll be more confident, and I know that you can do it. So believe in yourself and good luck. Thanks for listening.